Hello everyone, I'm Cupid and welcome to my corner of the internet. Today I'll be talking about icks and red flags. Now, I know icks and red flags kind of coincide, but I personally believe that ick is like something that someone does that makes you upset or uncomfortable, but it's a very small thing. Like, either it's the way they talk, some people get an ick when they hold an umbrella. Some people get an ick when someone wraps a jacket around their waist, which is really weird. Some people get an ick because their person bent down to tie their shoes. These are just some examples, and I think they're really stupid to have an ick about, but that's what some people say. And red flags are usually something bigger. Like, they constantly bring up their ex, even if they're not a part of the conversation, like, at all. When they constantly interrupt you, when they order food for you, even though you've told them multiple times that you can do it yourself. When they constantly tell you that they're going to be the one driving, even if you want to drive. It could be icks like trying, well, not icks, red flags of them constantly pushing you out of your comfort zone. I feel like a red flag is like a way bigger, like, oh shit, I need to get out of here, versus a, an ick. I personally don't think I have any icks. I can't really think of any off the top of my head, but of course everyone has icks and red flags, whether it be their own opinion or someone else's opinion about them. I personally, I guess if people were going to give me a red flag, I'd be too clingy and emotional. I guess those would be my red flags. But with red flags, there's a tons of different kinds, and a lot of people recently will get on to like women who have dated and married men who are just massive red flags. And usually a lot of people excuse their behavior because, you get attached to that person. You want to be there for them, you want to love them, you want to make sure they're okay. But not a lot of people seem to comprehend that when you marry someone, it is very hard to get out of that marriage. Because there's legal work that needs to be done, there's divorce hearings, and most of the time when there is a divorce, both people need to sign, which is the easy part, and very rarely do both people sign. And if you got kids, it's even harder. And if you live under a roof you do not own, it gets even worse. A lot of women who end up divorcing their husbands later on in life usually have nowhere to go. My parents are most likely have passed away by then. They usually didn't have a job if they had kids, because usually the woman would stay home. And because like she didn't go to college, she doesn't really have any job experience, it's very hard for her to get a job after she's divorced her husband. So there's no home. Probably won't see the kids that often unless she wins everything. But there is a possibility that she won't. Because if the house is in the name and if there was a prenup signed or not, then it's just a really bad case overall. And with red flags, usually some people, not all, they will fake a personality. They'll try to act like the perfect version of a partner you would want. And then their true personality starts coming out once they know you cannot escape. Because where are you gonna go? The only way to escape them after that is simply move to another country. But at the same time, the woman most likely doesn't have a job, most likely doesn't have any of her documentation. It's probably locked away somewhere. And on top of that, they're going to a completely different country where they have nothing at all. At least in the current country they're in, there is some sort of support system. Because there is very rarely a woman who is completely alone, especially if the man works. She's most likely going out to visit other people. to make friendships, to grow a circle. Because as long as she's hanging out with people while her husband isn't home, he isn't going to know about it. And he can't just keep her in the house because then he gets suspicious. With a lot of red flags, because like I said, red flags should be much bigger than an ick. One of the red flags I used to get was guys who would say they love me and then not let me think about it and then go date someone else like a week later. I'm like, you can't just tell someone you love them and expect them to respond immediately. You need to give them time. You need to give them time to think about it. And I've had red flags of like men purposely using my trauma against me, because they'll pull the same shit my mother used to pull to me when I was a kid, basically saying, oh, what happened to you? You used to be so much better than this, and shit like that. A lot of red flags are getting, seen more and more nowadays, and I personally think that's a good thing, because people are able to pick out bad behaviors early. And I've had people that have asked me for my address and stuff like that, which is also a red flag if you don't know them very well, because you don't know how people are like. Like, I rarely give out any of my information if I haven't known the person for very long, or they've somehow gained my trust in a very short amount of time. I've only had 2 people in my life who have gained my trust in a very short amount of time, and I still talk to those 2 people to this day. They are my best friends. They're not on as much, and I'm not really on VR chat anymore, which is why y'all have been getting Roblox videos, because that shit is extremely easy to record. And I don't care if you see my username on there, in all honesty. Because, hey, more Roblox people to hang out with. But as I get older, there are more and more red flags I have seen, and I have suddenly started seeing a lot of red flags that I missed from when I was younger. A lot of older people wanted to date me when I was like 18, 19, and other ages that I'm not going to say. And they were usually 10 plus years older than me. And they would always say, oh, you're so mature for your age and stuff like that. A lot of people who are young, they like being told by older people that they are mature, because every kid wants to be an adult and every adult wants to be a kid. Kids want the freedom to do what they want. Adults want the security and the freedom to, not have to worry about bills from when they were a kid. Unless you were, abused when you were a kid, like I was. And it's a very much so a big red flag if you are a teenager or a kid and an adult says shit like that to you. If they're constantly praising you, trying to get you stuff, they are basically grooming you. I got groomed, and when I was 17, someone who was 10 plus older years than me, I started dating them because they always complimented me on how I looked. They would give me treats, they would give me money, and I did whatever they wanted because I firmly believed that because I was about to be an adult legally, that what we were doing was okay because I didn't know the difference. That should have been a huge red flag to me, that someone so much older than me was interacting with me. Especially since I wasn't a legal adult yet. There are a lot of red flags to look out for. It just kind of sucks because nowadays people who do have red flags have gotten smarter on hiding them. So, I hate that majority of my group is negative things, because unfortunately the world is a very negative place. I have very few friends who think constantly positively, but overall it's not the worst thing in the world. As I've gotten older, I've realized that I could be better, because I am not perfect myself. I have red flags too. I'm pretty sure a lot of people get the ick when I start talking, because I realize I pop, like do that when I do a lot of P words. I didn't realize that until I started watching my own videos. And because I talk so fast and I'm pausing more, that's me swallowing so I don't keep like slurring my words. Because I unfortunately don't understand like majority of the time that there's saliva in my mouth that I need to swallow so it doesn't just, slur my words. Because I grew up with a speech impediment. I still have bits of it, but I've definitely gotten a lot better since I was a child. So that's cool, at least. But I would suggest for everyone to try their best to stay out of relationships with red flags. You are bound to get into one eventually and not even know it. But please keep an eye out and don't let your love for them skew reality. A lot of people who date people who have like red flags, either little ones, big ones, some icks, they usually make the excuse over and over and over again. Oh, they've just had a bad day. Oh, they don't feel very good. Oh, they're just a little bit off. Something must have upset them. And we as humans, as time keeps going on, we keep making excuses for our loved ones because we truly want to believe that they mean that the best that they can. We don't want to think about our partners as malicious people because love does that to you. Love blinds you from the truth. Your partner could be racist, homophobic, a pathological liar, a narcissist. And if you love them enough, you will ignore all of it. You will ignore how unhealthy and how terrible they are until someone else points it out to you. And then, because, someone else has said something, and because, you think it's not all in your head anymore because someone else noticed, it will start popping up more and more and more. Oh, they do this thing that kind of irritates me, and I've told them to please stop. It can be something like, how some people like crack their knuckles and it makes that gross sound. I personally really hate that sound. I guess that technically could be an ick. I asked my brother not to do it around me because for some reason it makes me go, ugh. I really hate that sound. I really hate the sound of certain gun video games. They don't do good for my mental health. What was that one thing? There's like a specific texture I don't like. I hate mushy food. I think mushy food is fucking disgusting. It reminds me of pre-chewed food. Like, I fucking hate applesauce. I hate beans. I don't like mushy peas. The only mushy food I like is mashed potatoes. But the way I make mashed potatoes is like, they're like really fluffy and dense and they taste very good. I like baking and cooking. But it's okay to date someone who has minor red flags. Like, some people would say a red flag is your partner's too chubby to like bend down and tie their own shoes. Some people would say that's a red flag for some reason. Some people say it's a red flag when someone has a nose piercing or like any piercing or tattoos. There are a lot of red flags that correlate to people's appearances, and I personally believe that those are kind of stupid because people are so different from each other that everyone's going to have their own style and preferences towards what they look like. But the ones towards personality traits are usually pretty spot on to follow, like narcissistic behavior, manipulative behavior, stuff like that. Thank you for so much for listening to me ramble. You have an amazing day and a good night.